Notre Dame spring football is in the books. The blue and gold game is over, and the winners today, the offense 47-44, a very pass-oriented day, which we should have expected. I mean, in a lot of ways, it was a lot like, last week and the week before when we saw 7-on-7, 11-on-11.
Yeah, I mean, Brian Kelly talked about it, which I'm sure made some people really nervous when he referenced if we need to throw the ball 50 times, we want to be able to throw it 50 times. I thought in terms of the quarterbacks themselves, he finally, admitted what we all knew, that Brandon Wimbush is the clear leader right now in that competition that really isn't a competition. And I thought that Wimbush showed some good things. I mean, there was a spiral. That was a normal thing for him to do. And I thought, even just the arm angles changing up, there was I think the pass that I really liked the most was actually that Miles Boykin drop over the middle where I think Tranquil blitzed up the middle and he had to sort of sidestep and throw it, and he got the ball exactly where it needed to go, even though Boykin didn't catch it. So, does that all get duplicated on September 1st against Michigan? I have absolutely no idea, but he's at least showing some things that he's flushed last season.
Yeah, actually, I've got 3 passes that stood out to me that weren't the one that you mentioned.
Yeah.
It was 2. It was crossing routes to Claypool and Mack, and then a beautiful touch pass on the sideline to Fink. And it was like it was last week where it was one of those, he released it, and you think, okay, where's that going to end up? And then all of a sudden it's in a receiver's hands.
That's good news, because I have a 5th.
There we go.
So
okay.
There's a back shoulder throw.
There's a back shoulder throw to Boykin, yeah. Well, Claypool and Boykin certainly had big days today.
Yeah, I think we shouldn't expect a whole lot of running in these games or even in the spring scrimmages anymore, because they are trying to get through it healthy. I mean, if you're going to hammer the ball in there 40 times against your own teammates, something's going to happen. It's going to come out poorly the other way. I don't think gone are the days of building toughness in the spring. It's in August. It has to happen in August camp. It has to happen in off-season training. You're not coming out here and hammering the ball in the Oklahoma drill in the spring. We won't see that. They're a passing team in the spring, but I'm going to have to trust Coach Long when he says we are a run-first, play-action team. And if that works out, I think Brandon Wimbush will have a good year. I think Brandon Wimbush and Ian Book, they can win with Ian Book. I think it's important that I think Pete was saying that in the press conference, and Brian Kelly mentioned it. They can win with both. Wimbush gives them the best chance. He's had a couple of good real practices in a row. I consider this a real practice. I mean, the growth was there, and you would hate to see a step back just because there's a different team in here.
Brian Kelly said that the team came out of this blue-gold game healthy. The exception is Dalen Hayes with a stinger, but it's not serious. Pete, on the defensive side of the ball, again, it ended up being more of an offensive day, which I didn't really anticipate going in, but when you started seeing them throwing around the yard, you knew it was going to be. What did you see defensively?
They don't have much linebacker depth, even though I think Jonathan Jones and Jordan Genmarkeith could offer legit depth by the time the season gets going. So maybe by the end of September they have a couple guys who are ready to go there. Defensive back play, I don't really know what they're supposed to do against 2 receivers that are 6'5", especially when you're Sean Crawford, who's maybe 5'10". The safety play I thought was okay. Jalen Elliott made a pick. It's the first pick by a Notre Dame safety since Jalen Elliott in the spring game last year. And then I think the defensive line overall, I'm not sure I got a lot out of that I didn't know already. I feel like the defense just sort of confirmed things, good and bad, that we already knew.
I think the interception, which was thrown by Brandon Wimbush, it was kind of a byproduct of wearing a red jersey, knowing that if I don't get rid of it, they're going to whistle me down, so I'm going to go ahead and throw it. And it was picked off by Jalen Elliott, and it was good to see a safety do that. Tim, who else would you like to talk about?
Well, defensively, it's kind of hard. It's skewed when it's 47 points and that many yards, because cut that in half. The defense played the whole game. They played 80 first-half snaps.
Yeah, there were 85 snaps in the first half.
So that's 2 defenses giving up a total of 47 points and a total of that many yards. Defensively, I think if you're looking at the spring, the way it's set up, I thought the wide receivers and the tight ends beat the safeties and corners, but I don't think that's indicative of how football is going to be played out here on Saturday. I kind of sided with Brian Kelly when he said the only concern, and for him to offer this concern, is linebacker depth. If Drew Tranquil or Tavon Coney get hurt, as much faith as I have in Jonathan Jones, I think he's a good player. He's going to have a really good season overall in terms of special teams and being that first rotation guy. They are still much better off if he's the first rotation guy. You're not thinking, throw him in there, we're going to be fine. Notre Dame needs Tavon Coney to be an All-American, Drew Tranquil to be what Drew Tranquil was last year, and then I think they have a solid defense around them.
During pregame, Pete and I were talking about who we were looking to step forward. I mentioned Asmar Blau, and I thought he did today.
Yeah, he was involved. And they need, that's sort of the whole, I guess, in the defense right now is can they get production out of the rover spot? Jeremiah Usu-Koroma almost had a pick six that turned into a big play going the other way. I sort of like the optimism that he thought he could get to that, because I don't think that's a play Asmar Bilal comes even close to making. Shane Scheinman shows up in the summer. Isaiah Robertson, didn't really see much from him today. But if they can just get, I think, a medium level of production from the rover position, I think the defense overall is going to be pretty good.
That's a wrap on spring football. A wrap from Notre Dame Stadium today was the offense 47, the defense 44.